Ted Leonsis, an old friend and a longtime internet entrepreneur who could teach everyone in Silicon Valley a thing or two at any moment of the day. Ted, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for the lunch.
Hey, no problem. We're at Open.io in Silicon Valley. I thought this was the perfect spot for you. Let's talk about where things are going on the web, and then a little bit about the stuff you're doing. You were at AOL forever, the last AOL executive out the door, essentially, the original team. What do you think is going on here in Silicon Valley now, and on the internet in general? You've been great at predicting.
Well, I do think this syndication and breaking up big monolithic sites into small little pieces really does make a lot of sense. I'm an investor and chairman of a company called ClearSpring. Just did this wonderful widget company. Just did this wonderful thing for a movie that came out by Paramount called Cloverdale, where we made a 7-minute kind of trailer, and we promoted on Facebook and MySpace and Classmates. 45,000 sites grabbed it.
Right.
31 million people saw it.
Right.
So, in essence, we opened 45,000 movie theaters on these sites. There's only 6 million theaters in the U.S. and
which is interesting that you're pushing that, because you were one of the masterminds behind the great portal strategy of the last era.
Portals, Web 1.0, I mean, they worked and they scaled. But, there's a reason God made 77 million bloggers, and it's kind of rude to ask someone...
That was Satan who made them, but go ahead.
It's kind of rude to ask someone to leave a site to go to another site. And to be able to take a little website and put it over a bigger website is politer and more Web 2.0-y. So I think you're going to see a lot of growth. ClearSpring is 107 million uniques. I think we had 45 million in June. You're seeing that kind of growth and that slope that we haven't seen for a long, long time.
What's overhyped from your perspective right now? I mean, again, you've seen everything.
I am nervous about the quality of the inventory. I do think that having grown up making that kind of inventory with chat rooms and with instant messaging kind of inventory with AIM and ICQ, it doesn't respond very well because your relationship as a consumer is more intimate with your personal communications, and you don't really interact with the media. It's not your expectation that you will, and so I don't think you'll see the search companies, the Googles and the Yahoos, being able to monetize that space.
And they've said so.
They have, and having acquired advertising.com and knowing a lot about how the algorithms work, and really being one of the two checks, Google and AOL were the big check writers to the MySpaces of the world. We know how that inventory works, and so it's going to be a challenge to move from CPM to more cost per acquisition.
Right.
And as the analytics get smarter, that inventory is going to have to respond or it won't get bought.
Right. So you're saying to me Facebook might not be worth $15 billion, Ted? And you've been around for big valuations.
I think they'll have to grow into their valuation.
Yeah. They have to get into the drug business, I think. So let me ask, what are you doing now? You're doing this thing with Steve Case, your old partner in crime.
We have a company called
way.
Revolution Money. Revolution Money is PayPal meets MasterCard without the high fees, next generation payments platform. It has a card that's a credit card, a debit card, and a ATM card. And then there's Revolution Money Exchange, like a PayPal, except that when you move the money and you want to take it out, we don't charge you any fees and you can get your money right away. Or you can load the money onto the card, take it out from your ATM, or preload the money and then go spend it like you would.
Now, how's this an internet business? That's an old line, big behemoth business of major players: Visa, MasterCard, American Express.
That's right. We're attacking those monopolies. Having grown up in the internet space and the ad business, it's a $15-20 billion business. Grown pretty good. The interchange business is $60 billion.
The fees merchants pay.
And there's only 4 competitors, and so it's a great place to play and try to be aggressive against really companies that built their architectures in the 80s. And this is all open systems and lightweight
How do you use
computers.
the internet to combat that? Is it algorithms or better technology?
Basically, every one of the credit card networks is a private internet. It reminds me really of the original AOL architecture, and we're using the internet, we're using the cloud, we're using open systems to power our network, and that's brought the cost way down. That's why we charge half a percentage point instead of 2, 3, or 4 percentage points. And interchange really is a tax placed on merchants. And ultimately what the merchant has to do is transfer that cost. They pass it on to consumers.
You're a disruptor of industries, Ted Leonsis. You really are. When looking back, you made a lot of the predictions that did come true. I think people don't realize how many of these predictions that you made early on came true. Which is the one most important thing that you thought back then that hasn't happened, maybe?
That hasn't happened?
Yeah, hasn't and has. What is the most important?
I would say that we haven't gotten more productive.
Right.
Here we are at a restaurant, you've got a camera in my face.
Right.
I don't know if that's making our world any better.
It is, Ted.
I do think that sometimes you can be over-connected. And, with email, with messaging, with Facebook. I have 1,500 friends now on Facebook, and I'm very concerned about happiness and quality of life.
As you always have been.
And I have been, and I do think that we have to worry about is the pace of change and technology adoption really making things better for many of us. And I don't really have 1,500 friends.
Right.
I have a couple of friends that really matter and I want to talk to, and so I do think that I'm just a little nervous about too much social adoption, and I think you're starting to see it. I think you see Facebook and MySpace starting to slow down and shrink as people catch their breath and
Facebook
say,
fatigue, that's what I call it. Fatigue.
That's a very a wise term for it, because I do think you can get burned out.
Right. Now, last question. You're doing movies. You call it philanthropy.
Philanthropy.
Right.
Yes, I do think that.
Tell us about your latest movie, really.
Cost of movie production is coming down. Digital is everywhere. The internet is going to become the way that movies become widgets and snagged and dragged and syndicated, and that you can use a work of art. I've made 2 movies, both been at Sundance, both going to be in theaters and on cable, to not only entertain people and bring in a community, but activate volunteerism, activate charitable giving. My first film, named King, is in theaters now. My second film, Kicking, it was just bought by ESPN and Netflix. And I think you're going to see people that grew up on the internet looking to repurpose their energy and some of the wealth that they created to do good work. And philanthropy is a good umbrella. Jeff Skoll, early eBay, PayPal guy, is really one of the pioneers in that. Max from Slide has made a film that tried to right a wrong. And so I think it's just a natural extension of our work on the internet.
Great, Ted. You're my favorite internet entrepreneur. Don't tell anybody.
Thank you, Karen.
Thanks a lot.